Friends, thank you for tuning in. This incredibly important interview with three phenomenal Anon analysts and researchers is not to be missed. You're going to really enjoy it. And it's being brought to you in part by our good friends at Virtual Shield. You know you're being tracked, profiled, and spied upon. Even the big internet data providers you trust to give you access to the internet can collect, store, and sell your data to the highest bidder. So what can you do about it? You can protect yourself and your family. Virtual Shield VPN is an easy-to-use virtual private network which you can run on your phone and computers. It will make you anonymous and encrypt your traffic. You do have the right to remain private, no matter what Big Brother might want. Visit virtualshield.com/SGTreport to learn more and take back your privacy for as little as $2.97 per month. But hurry, this incredible offer won't last forever. I'll provide the link directly below this video. So here we go. I have three remarkable Anons joining me right now to talk about, yes, guess what, all things Q, because Q is real. There's no LARP happening here. It's the real deal, and we're going to talk about all of the good news happening behind the scenes. We're going to talk about interactive data, about the resignations. Q has said, watch for the resignations. Do you guys have any idea how many there have been in the corporate world, in the government world? We're going to talk about sealed indictments. We're also going to talk about the pedophile arrests. I want to welcome to the show right now 412 Anon, Pamphlet and NinjaWarrior. 412, how are you?
I am fantastic, Sean. Thank you so much for having us on.
Well, thanks for arranging this. Guys, we've had nothing but problems with Skype, so now we're recording this via Zoom. Skype, every time we try to turn on the video, it logged me out. Completely shut us down, logged us out. Clearly, people don't want this conversation happening. I firmly believe that. Microsoft now owns Skype, and Skype has gone downhill. So we're recording via Zoom. Pamphlet, thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, yeah, good to have you. You know, you and I have a mutual friend in Tracy Beans, and I know you've been put through the ringer because of all things Q, right? Everybody wants to accuse Q of being a LARP, and there's so much evidence that suggests that's not the case. We can talk about that too. And also on the line is NinjaWarrior. How are you, Ninja?
Hey, doing well, Sean. How are you today?
Hey, I'm very well. Thanks to all you guys for your time. And so now, because we only have about 40 minutes here before Zoom logs us out here, I want to talk about these interactive dashboards. Our friend 412 Anon, because of his life's work on a daily basis, his real job, has a very special set of skills. So 412, why don't you take us through these dashboards? I know that there's a lot of good news happening in the background right now. And in fact, I'll quote Neon Revolt today. There's a new article out called "It's Time, New Q, QAnon." Let me read this for you guys. Rats fleeing a sinking ship, trying to save themselves. Now that it's clear their Obama-Messiah can do nothing for them. The writing is on the wall, and this is the smartest possible move they could make right now. As for what we're leading up to, we are leading up to the release of the full IG report, the end of the Russian collusion witch hunt, the dovetailing with Huber's investigation, going after the 13 angry Democrats, and the unsealing of 30,000 plus indictments before military tribunals and Gitmo. In short, pain and public disclosure. Guys, I don't think that's puffery, and we're going to take you through some of the very good news with this interactive data. 412, take us away.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thanks again for having us all on, Sean. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. You guys good?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, so right here what we have is, let me go back a step here. So this is a Tableau public site that I've put together. It's all Q inspired, different things that Q has asked us to follow or look into, resignations, indictments, amongst other things. There's, pedophile arrests here. So basically what I try to do is take the work that so many of the amazing Anons that, that have been working together have put together by collecting all this information, and I try to put a visual interactive display to allow for some really dynamic data discovery, to really get a feel for what's going on. Because, with all the different truthers out there talking about, all the problems in the world, I kind of see QAnon as a beacon of hope that things are changing and things are being done about it all in the background. And what better way to kind of get that message across other than with some hard data. So I'm gonna jump into these here and kind of show how they work and what's all involved in them.
Yeah, and the first one we're going to look at is resignations.
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, let me ask you something, just so people understand, because this was all new to me, and you shared this with me briefly the last time we talked. How do people find this? You've made this public, right, for the benefit of researchers?
Correct. Yeah. So I'll just point people towards my Twitter account, because I have the link pinned right at the top of that. And anytime I update any dashboard or put something new out, I always tweet about it, and that's typically the first place you'll hear about it. So my Twitter handle is just at 412anon87. That's probably the easiest way to find or get a hold of me.
Okay. But otherwise, it's this public.tableau.com.
Yep, and then profile / Nero the Hero is my profile link there. But yeah, like I said, following me on Twitter, or just tuning into the Patriots Soapbox 24/7. There's also a link to the dashboards in the YouTube live stream description as well. So there's plenty of places to find it, but Twitter is where I'm probably most active right now, and where I put all of my updates as they happen. So I'll go ahead and jump right into the resignation dashboard here. So essentially the idea is to, at a glance, be able to see what's going on. And as you can see, we have over 3,000 resignations going back to September of last year. And you can see the huge ramp up in action here, especially come December, when Trump was getting ready to sign that executive order on corruption and human trafficking. You could see what's happened since then. It's really quite remarkable, that just the sheer numbers of CEOs and high-ranking officials in government and corporate, just leaving their posts. So I'll just kind of walk through the dashboard, show how it works and how you can interact with it. At the top here, we have kind of like a ticker of the most recent resignations that have happened. So they're color coded to this legend right here by what type of organization they came from. So you could just run your mouse over these, and you can see some information, the name, the source. So you can click on the source. I'm sorry, the hyperlink, and it'll bring up the actual article that we're citing, and you kind of read about it. And that's just kind of, like I said, the most recent in the ticker. On the right here, we have a tree map, and it kind of shows the proportion of of the different categories of organization that people left. And this is also interactive. So if I want to see a trend in government resignations, I can click government, and it's going to filter my chart here on the left. And also it's going to filter this crosstab down here that is basically the raw data behind the charts. So you click government, you can see all the government officials that have stepped down. You can click on any one of these and then go directly to the source and read about it.
Okay. So let me ask you something, man. Is your real name Edward Snowden?
Oh, please. That's
Is this key score technology? What are we doing here?
No, these are just simple business intelligence tools that I've kind of repurposed for our movement, and it's wonderful to take something I do professionally and be able to kind of incorporate it into something I'm passionate about. And here's the coolest part of this dashboard, and this is something I worked really hard to put together. So here we have a timeline essentially showing these trends, right? So if you wanted to click on a week, so let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the spike here on January 21st, the week of January 21st. I can click this, right? It's going to update my tree map so I could see kind of the proportion of what was happening by category over here. But check this out. I could show also all the Trump tweets and Q posts that happened that week. It doesn't look like any of the Q posts are populating on that particular week. Here's one that has a few. This is still a work in progress, so it's not perfect, but you can kind of follow a timeline of what's been happening during that period of time. Also, it'll filter to news articles that are relevant that happened during that week, and you can kind of go and click on those and see if they're related, or if there's might have been anything that happened in the news that may have triggered some of these resignations. So it's just a way to interact with the data, query it in a way that's visual and easy to consume. You guys have any questions on how that works?
I just want to know what the heck happened in January, man. That spike there is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a direct answer for you. I know that about a month before that was the big executive order signed by Donald Trump. I don't know if, it's just kind of, you could see a direct really ramp up from that point, and it kind of exploded that week. But really, that's kind of the mark is when he signed that executive order that you see the big numbers of people stepping down.
Well, with the biggest part of the resignations at that time being government, that was just before the State of the Union. We know that the State of the Union was a time when Q alluded to there being certain people being freed, and so some were freed through resignation.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ninja. Thank you. I forgot about that. That is a great point. And that probably led to a huge increase in numbers there. So I'm gonna back out of this one and just kind of show you a couple of the other ones that I've put together here.
I want to just say one thing about resignations too, because Q said watch for the resignations, and I don't think 3,000 people resigning from various walks of life, industry, government, corporations is a small number. I think the historical norms, I wish your charting went back even further so we could see sort of historical norms, because this has to be an anomaly. And guys, when you're listening, when you think about resigning, think about that impact it has on your family, on your finances. Who would choose to resign unless they were forced to do so? And so a resignation is a big deal. And I just say that because it calls to mind this deal with Paul Ryan resigning. He was so passionate about politics for his entire life that he ran for president. Does that sound like somebody who just suddenly would get tired of politics and want to go spend time with his family? Or was he forced out because of maybe nefarious activities he's been up to, trying to usurp the sitting president, trying to partner with the globalists, trying to play ball and be a puppet of the globalist handlers like the Rothschilds? I think these resignations are very, very important, and I really appreciate you putting together this information here, 412.
Oh, I agree with you 100%, and it's my pleasure to do. I've, a lot of people have come to me and told me how valuable they find the dashboards and the data. A lot of people have come to me and tell me it's ammunition for them to kind of prove to their friends and family who might not be a part of the movement or realize what's going on, that there is something happening, and they're not just wearing a tinfoil hat. So it really means a lot when I hear people come to me with that kind of feedback, that they're getting a lot of value from these dashboards. And to what you said, there is a record number of, I think, more Congress men and women are either resigning or not running for re-election, going all the way back to since the Watergate era. So it is huge. I mean, Paul Ryan's not alone. He has a good number of colleagues that are also not seeking re-election or are stepping down early. And I don't think that's an accident. I think that there's a definite trend here. When you look at the charts, you could just see the way it's ramped up. It is an anomaly. This isn't normal.
Yeah, and speaking to that trend, I mean, you look at the resignation trend right there going back to September of last year, and you can see how small the graph numbers are there. And then, once we hit into that November, December area, which Q started dropping on October the 28th. And so we started to see the action pick up around that time, and you can see that graph and the way it's trending. So definitely action there.
Trends like this and the hard data to actually back it all up. I mean, you mentioned Paul Ryan. He's far from the only one where the only example where circumstances just don't quite add up.
Right.
He's far from the only one who should not be resigning at this point in his career. And having the hard data to actually make use of and show to people to actually display to them easy to consume data. It's showing them like hey, there is something really serious going on.
Yeah.
It's going to at least open some eyes and get some people to start questioning things.
It's tangible. So the
Yep.
benefit of this research and these charts, which he calls interactive data, is that it's tangible. So it's one thing to say to hear Q say, watch for the resignations. It's another thing to see them laid out with the news and the dates and the charting like this. And I know that 412, you also have interactive data here on the sealed indictments and the pedophile arrests. Guys, I'll put the link to this below the video. So anybody that wants to go and see these charts for themselves, that'll probably be the easiest way to do it. I'll try to remember to put the link below this video. So I think we're moving on now to what? Sealed indictments?
Yeah, this is sealed indictments. And if you see up here at the top, there are over 35,000 sealed indictments right now. That is a huge number. I don't have a source on this right in front of me, but I've heard from more than a few people that an average year might have one, maybe 2,000 sealed indictments total. We're at 35,679 sealed indictments. And those indictments could contain multiple people, from what I understand, or even multiple offenses. So when Donald Trump says they're draining the swamp, to me this is what we're seeing. I mean, look at this trend going back to November. Each month, every single month since then, there's been over 4,000 sealed indictments. And here we have it laid out by state. I kind of put it together in a heat map because these are sealed. There's not a ton of information to really, kind of divide them out like there are the resignations where you have, the different kinds of companies and organizations. So we just kind of did this geographically so you could see, where a lot of the corruption is. And this is also interactive. So if you see California is a mess, if you click on California, you could see California's trend. If you want to see Texas, you could see Texas or Pennsylvania, where I'm from. You can kind of click through it and get a feel for how each state is trending. But just the sheer overall number of 35,679, it just says to me that the storm is very real. Things are definitely happening. And I think we're about to see a lot of these start getting unsealed and them being put out to the public. I think we're right on the cusp of going very much mainstream with what we've all been following closely kind of behind the scenes. Yeah. How do you all feel about that?
Well, 412, could you click on DC and New York? I'd expect to see a lot of sealed indictments in DC and New York.
You know what? So DC, I couldn't really get to put in, so I kind of have them mixed in with Virginia here. It was just a weird way the software handles the geographical data, but DC and Virginia are kind of mixed together, and it's not quite as bad as you would think. But if you look at New York's one of the worst, and it looks like it's ramping up more and more now.
Well, and to speak to that, the reason that John Huber was appointed and brought in is because specifically he's not in DC, and a lot of these cases are going to be handled in courts outside of DC where the corruption doesn't run as rampant. The reason that President Trump has made it, one of his main agenda items to appoint these judges. And I think I read the other day where we're up to almost 20% of the lower court judges have been replaced by Trump. That's a really big deal. So a lot of this is going to take place outside of that DC area for sure.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's helped put this data into spreadsheets and work on it in the background. I just put a face to it and make it, searchable in a different way. But there's a lot of people that in the background kind of put this together in a way that I could use it. So specifically Resignation Anon, if you see this, thank you for all the hard work you do keeping that resignation list up to date and accurate. Just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, that's a good point, Ninja, that that Huber, the reason he was brought in was because he's not from, the DC area. He's not from the swamp, and, probably doesn't have the tentacles of corruption wrapped around his neck the way some others would that are from that area.
Ninja mentioned the specifically the lower court judges. I mean, those are huge because these lower court judges can stop a lot of this stuff straight in its tracks. just stop it cold. And all of those people needed to be replaced. We have no way of really knowing how truly deep the corruption runs at, especially at a local level. But I'd imagine corruption at a local level is almost even worse than state and federal. And getting those people replaced so all these cases can be carried through to completion was a key part of the plan, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at QDrop 1552, that will tell you the IG investigation that we just got is kind of the precursor to Hubert kind of taking the front step. And so as we've been going through the hearings with the IG report. We've been looking at all that. The drop 1552 kind of outlines all the different things that are going to be referred to Huber, and that's just, it tells you that we're right here on the edge of getting these indictments unsealed and getting these people justice served.
Did you guys find one?
Yep, I got it up on the screen here. 1152. So it says, will she be indicted, and will this lead to BHO being indicted? And Q responds, IG email investigation, and then in parentheses, weakest of the set. Open door to Wiener HRC/others, crimes against children. Noose, ref to Huber, non-public. Clinton Foundation, investigation ongoing. Connected, reference to Huber, plus FBI protection of HRC, plus criminal acts, reference to Huber. What about Department of Justice text/emails? Why did Intel Committee rate sections of the IG report at highest level of national security? What does it involve? Department of Justice, White House, tarmac, reference to Huber. And then we have Rod Rosenstein in the double kill box, which maybe Ninja, you could jump into the kill boxes and the countdown later. IG report release does not coincide with true start date. And then info push to of Huber, above, scope and size, biggest in history, grand jury in place, Q. So that's super interesting, considering all the information we've gotten with the IG report and what's happened with that. Ninja, do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I mean, Huber's had a grand jury in place for the last couple of weeks, multiple weeks, and so we're starting to see these indictments, be unsealed and coming out there. Now, as far as the RR and the double kill box, if we look at, there was a drop from yesterday, and I apologize, I'm trying to get it pulled up right now so that I can give you the number. 1579 and 1580, where we've got the 3 kill boxes and then the 2 kill boxes and then the 1 kill box. And I felt like that was a kind of alluding to the fact that Rod Rosenstein we're on a countdown here. And reason being is, if you look at drop 1457, Rod Rosenstein or RR is in 3 kill boxes. Then if we go to 1498, Rod Rosenstein is in 2 kill boxes. And then also 1552, he's in 2 kill boxes. And then yesterday, Q put out 1573 and Rod Rosenstein's in a single kill box. Well, then you couple that in with Q's information that he put on us last night about, Rosenstein choosing his time of exit. And it all ties together that Rod Rosenstein is more than likely about to be added to that resignation list.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I was moving really fast for you there.
If I recall right, Q also mentioned probably right before the sort of killbox countdown thing started that Rosenstein had a chance to do the right thing. He was kind of being given an opportunity to do the right thing, do what he should do. And I guess that countdown was sort of saying, time's running out. That's kind of how I read it.
Well, guys, I think this is so powerful because, in Pamphlet, let's just give you a second to address some of the charges leveled at you weeks ago when there were some on YouTube trying to really put a turd in the punch bowl with the whole Q thing, right? So if you put a turd in the punch bowl, nobody wants to drink any of the punch. They didn't want us looking at Q's information. And what we're trying to do with this call is provide people with the tangibles that suggest not only is Q for real, there really is good things happening in the background. So 412 has assembled these interactive data charts and these interactive data, what do you call them, dashboards, so that people can see the tangibles. So why do you suppose you were so ruthlessly attacked and Tracy Beans ruthlessly attacked? And the point I'm trying to get to is, why don't they want us reading the Q drops? Because as I've said from the very beginning, the Q breadcrumbs lead many a good Anon to bake some pretty tasty bread that would otherwise never have been baked, right, had Q not existed. So I'm grateful for Q, regardless of who Q is. And I certainly don't think Q's a LARP.
I'm with you, man. As to why I specifically was targeted, I have no idea. I think, I mean, our being on air 24 hours a day probably provided a plethora of different clips they could use as ammunition.
But you were even accused
take them out of context. I'm sorry, say again.
You were accused of even being Q at one point.
Oh yeah. That was the narrative they were running with for quite some time. I think they're actually still running with it. I won't name names, but I'm sure most of your listeners probably know who they are. They're still going. I just saw another live stream by one of the merry band of morons, continuing to say I'm Q. It blows my mind because I am, believe me, folks, way too dumb to be Q, way too stupid to be Q.
Well,
I wish I was, but
I just wanted to give you the opportunity to say something about that because, all of us are doing the very best we can to spread truth. And so for any person or group of people to come in and try to disparage this entire movement, this great awakening that's happening based on just saying Q's a LARP and then doing a 7-hour live stream providing evidence of which there is no evidence and the evidence never comes is, I think, the very definition of disinfo. So the goal of this conversation with these three astute Anons, and I guess, Pamphlet, you're not that much of an Anon anymore, being that you're on video here. But I think that that alone speaks to the fact that you're certainly not Q. Q is,
you
certainly aren't rubbing elbows with Donald Trump on a daily basis.
I am most definitely no longer in Anon. I was doxxed by these fools. I was probably asking for it, putting my face out there, but I knew it was going to happen eventually. So
it's
no big worry.
It's so dishonorable to dox people. It's just so dishonorable. But I think that speaks volumes about them too. So, all right, well, we'll throw it back to 412, guys, because the great news is that we're also going to talk about the pedophile arrests, which have been ramping up since Donald Trump took office too. By the way, none of this would be happening, guys, if the wicked witch known as Hillary Clinton was in the Oval Office. That I can assure you. None of it would be happening. It all would have been covered up. The pedo crimes would have gone on in perpetuity because we know there was the leak, the famous leak, coming from the State Department, I believe, or was it the Department of Justice, saying that they want to legalize 12 perversions. And among those perversions are bestiality and pedophilia. That's where we were headed under Obama and under a Clinton presidency. That whole agenda would have only ramped up. So thank God the Wicked Witch was defeated. So we'll throw it back to 412 and I'll shut up.
No, you're absolutely right. Thank God she was defeated because it would have been, as Q said, hell on earth. Who knows where all of us would be if she was president. Something tells me, it wouldn't be pretty. So I thank God every day that that's not the case. But yeah, I'm going to just show one more dashboard here. And it's nothing too crazy, but it is pedophile arrest going back to, let's see, January of 2017. So I don't have a total number on this anywhere, and I'll have to fix that. But you could see just in June this year alone, there have been over 2,647 pedophile arrests. And this works very similar to the other dashboards where these maps, there's a global map here and then a map of just the United States. It kind of breaks down where this stuff is happening and it's interactive. So if you want to see, the 20 Australian arrests, you can see it's probably just one bust here. You can get the article for it. And yeah, there you go. uh, the Australian news at yahoo.com, 20 men arrested. You know, it works the same. You can click and get the link and read the article or watch the video, whatever the Anon's researching this. And this all came off of the qproofs.com website. The data I used to source this, there's a group of Anons there tracking pedophile arrests and sourcing the articles and keeping a spreadsheet. So I'm building my dashboard off of that.
Could you go back to that main page of the dashboard? Click on that third one down, Alderman T. It says pizza shop owner.
Where do you see?
Third one down. Third one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So pizza shop owner. Let's see what this is all about.
Oh, sure. I remember this.
Yep. So search warrant executed. Is this the actual start of real arrest regarding hashtag Pizzagate? Search warrant executed. Yeah, in the articles here.
Well, he looks like a creep, doesn't he?
Yeah, and this is Manchester, New Hampshire. It looks like Grand Slam Pizza. But there seems to be a trend here with the pizza shops and the symbology. Speaking of which, Sean, did you see at the Senate hearings, or not at the Senate hearings, but after the Senate hearings, because Sheila Jackson Lee, she like flipped out about the migration issue and the families being ripped apart at the border, you know, doing the whole grandstanding thing when she was supposed to be asking Horowitz questions. So some of the Anons did some digging on her, and they found her a picture of her wearing a ring with the boy love symbol on it. Did you happen to catch that?
Well, I saw that. I saw a meme of her wearing that ring many weeks ago, and I guess I should have done a video about it because it's become a big deal here again just recently. No, I mean, these people are up to it in their eyeballs, and you know, she's as corrupt as the day is long. So, is she out in California too? Isn't she one of the California representatives?
And she's from Houston.
Texas.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah, Houston.
Oh, she's just so disgusting.
We don't claim her from Texas, though. I'm telling you that.
And Nancy Pelosi's in California then, right?
Yeah, I believe so. She's the worst of the worst.
Well, they both belong in the same bucket, you know, but they both belong in the same Gitmo cell.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, that ring on her, these people rub it in our faces. They throw it right out there. That ring is like a spot on match for the little boy lover symbol.
That's right.
Yep.
And it's just like Best of Pizza, right? So people like to say, oh, Pizzagate's been debunked. Well, let's just relook at Best of Pizza's logo, right? Prior to Pizzagate blowing wide open. And then after Pizzagate became news in the alternative media, of course, the mainstream Mockingbird media ignored it entirely, except for when they tried to debunk it, which they couldn't do. But Best of Pizza changed its logo, right? So it's all hiding in the plain wide open. And, you know, anybody with two brain cells to rub together knows that child sex trafficking is a gigantic problem, and it's real. And it's from coast to coast in every major American city. That's what Steve Scalise said in his PSA. This affects every community across the nation. And thank God something appears to be, is being done about it. And nothing would be done about it if Hillary Clinton was in the White House. So I think Q's absolutely right. It would have been hell on earth if that witch was in the White House. That's absolutely right, 412. And, Ninja Warrior, your thoughts on any of this, too? I know that we're, 10 minutes away, I think, before our recording here is going to...
I think we have less than that even. I think we might be down the last 2 minutes here. So
Really? All right, well, why don't we wrap it up? Final words from everybody. Ninja, you go first.
Well, just in relation to the pedophilia thing, we know not only that this is a big problem, this is big business for them. This is one of their major, black ops funding operations. And it's not just the United States. This goes globally. We'll see it tie into Saudi Arabia, which they've been cleaning up their own backyard over there. And one of the main, if you look at all the action that's taking place over in the port in Yemen, that's not just about an Iranian, Saudi Arabian problem. That is a port that is being used for these operations and running through there. So there's a lot of things that tie into this pedophilia ring, because this is kind of the center of where they operate out of, because they all worship Satan. So anyway.
No, you're right. It is spiritual in nature, and at the bottom of the rabbit hole, you find out that these people are Luciferians. Let's see here. Pamphlet, final thoughts?
Sure. Man, you know, we talked about the people that are trying to call Q a LARP, trying to discredit this whole thing. I find the timing of their attempts to do that pretty interesting. When you take into account all of the data here, all this hard data, all the tangible evidence here, look at the trends here with arrests, pedophile arrests, resignations, deaths, of course, also. There's clearly something big going on. Most people should be able to admit that. And I think their timing here is very significant because things are starting to ramp up pretty quickly. And as we've seen the past week or two, Q has gone pretty balls to the wall, pardon me, with all the Q proofs. I mean, he's been proving himself over and over and over again. And I think I don't think that's going to stop. It's only going to get crazier.
Yeah. All right. Amen. And 412, thanks for assembling all of this wonderful data and for all the hard work you're doing. Remind people how they can find this stuff, and then final words from you.
Yeah, there's only probably about 25 seconds left here, so I'll just say if you want to follow the work I do, Twitter's the best place at 412anon87 is where I put that out there. Also, make sure you come check out Patriots Soapbox 24/7.
Guys, it was at this point in the conversation that Zoom cut us off, and what 412 Anon wanted to say was join Patriots Soapbox 24/7 on YouTube all day, Monday through Friday, with prepared guests and great information and analysis. My thanks to 412 Anon, Pamphlet, and NinjaWarrior for their time, dedication to our nation and to truth, and for their expertise. And I really, really want to thank all of you as well for tuning in. And for Real News 24/7, visit us at sgtreport.com. God bless.